today we are going to be talking about Unitopia, our inevitable future. We're going to be talking from the fundamentals of Unicult, my book that you can read. It is available on Etsy, and if you're interested in reading this book, I recommend it. It's changed several people's lives. I think we've sold maybe 1,000 copies of this book at this point. That's kind of a lot. 1,000 people reading this book changed the world. You reading this book will change your life. 1,000 people reading this book will change the world. We're going to get 1,000 more people reading this book this year. It's wonderful. If you want to follow along in your book, we're going to be talking from page 101. We aren't going to get into the book yet right away. Well, we'll read from it. We'll read from the first sentence here. What is Unitopia? Why do we call it Unitopia instead of Utopia? This is a distinction that's very important. It is a cute little marketing thing. I am always shocked that people actually click the button that says request to be in someone's video when they're doing performing or doing something. It's quite shocking that people actually push that button. So shout out to you, because I don't know what's going on in your head. Okay. You're not coming on to Camp Church, but I appreciate the attempt. Okay, so what is Unitopia? What is the point of Unitopia? The point is that it's not utopia. What is utopia? Why? We have to think about philosophers. We have to think about the history of human thought, and we have to think about why not just call it utopia. Yeah, we could have just not added a little I and made it cute for Unicult, but Unitopia is a different concept than utopia. Unitopia is what utopia tries to be and fails to be. Most people's vision of utopia, and honestly, I could read a little bit more about some more visions of utopia, but from what I've seen in what I have read is that most people's concept of Unitopia really just benefits a few, and it doesn't understand the truth of all one. It doesn't know how to incorporate the potential for every single person in society to be happy. Most people, when they think of utopia and their ideal, it's about them, and it's just about their own reality, and it's usually rooted a little bit in greed and in us versus them thinking. We're going to talk a little bit about us versus them thinking, because Unitopia is literally the opposite of our current society. How do we move into Unitopia? What is Unitopia? Unitopia, according to the book, let's read from the book, is Unicult's version of utopia, where all people are healthy, fulfilled, abundant, and have access to the resources to express the desires of their true heart. This is just a healthy society. We are so far removed from what it means to be truly healthy in our society that we don't even recognize these concepts as being, we're just gonna have to have that view. We don't even recognize these concepts as being feasible or realistic. They sound very far off, and most people, if you told them this, I have told people this, and they've said, that's a nice idea, but you're never going to get everybody on board. That's a nice idea, but how are you going to make everybody healthy? That's a nice idea, but people are always going to be greedy and try to steal from each other. That's a nice idea, but you're going to have marauders come through and bash everybody on the head and steal their resources. That's literally what people say to me. I've had people say these things to me. And so it's really shocking to me to come from this place of knowing that not only is Unitopia possible, but many space races, almost every single alien race already has accomplished what it means to have a healthy society. How do I know this is true? I know this is true because humanity, at the rate that we're going, without a spiritual evolution, without the spiritual singularity, would simply crash and burn and destroy ourselves. I believe we would have destroyed ourselves many times over if it were not for divine intervention. We are a chaos, a chaotic, greedy, dominating, competitive species, apparently. This idea of our competition against each other, that misunderstanding that we are actually here to fight each other rather than help each other, the fact that we see ourselves as separate from one another, is what creates the chaos. It's what creates the violence. It's what creates the greed. The concepts of lack, the concepts of competition are what create these that's a nice idea, but, and we have to understand anything is possible. Anything is possible. So what is our responsibility? Our responsibility is to look at these arguments against Unitopia and say, what is it that makes people violent? Usually, wealth inequality. Usually, they don't have access to the things that they need. Usually, it's trauma that they haven't been able to heal. Can we solve those things? I think we can. There is a solution for everything. We really just have to turn our brains on. It's not that hard to figure out. As we open our hearts, turn our hearts on, as we turn our brains on, and we start to think in a way that Unitopia is actually possible, that Unitopia is actually our inevitable future that we can have, and it's really the only possible way that we can move forward as a species and maintain without self-destruction. And we deserve Unitopia. You know why? Because every person who I know, myself included, has a good and pure heart. Every person I know is doing their best. It's really easy to be like, that person hit his girlfriend, and that person is a rapist, and that person is brainwashing people, right? But when we look deeper at people's behavior and why they do it, and we really, if they're willing to be open about their experiences and why they felt things were okay to do, we can then actually heal those aspects of them that cause them to do the harmful behaviors. And if we can heal those aspects, then the behaviors don't continue. If we shame and we repress, and this happens on the individual level and this happens in the societal level, then what happens? These things turn into shadows, they turn into darkness, and they just go on down the line, reincarnating as energies in every generation. To find Unitopia, we have to break our patterns. We have to break our patterns of genetic suffering, genetic trauma that has been passed on down the line from our parents and our grandparents and their grandparents. Well, my dad hit me, and his dad hit him, and his dad hit him, and now I just feel like punching drywall. I don't know why. Maybe there's a history of violence in your freaking genetics. How do you heal that? That is possible, and that's the first step of healing it, is understanding that it is possible to heal these things. It is possible to move into our future. And this has to do with the path to joy. The first step on the path to joy is cynicism, and then we move into hopefulness. I am here as a beacon of hope. Unicult is here as a beacon of hope. It's easy to have cynicism right now. Thank God. It's easy to have cynicism. In 2012, when I first woke up and I was a doomer and I didn't know any other doomers except for the doomsday preppers I lived with who were raising rats just in case they might have to eat them when society collapses. They were the only people who I felt like I vibed with, even though they were nuts. Because I saw the inevitable downfall of the way that we were living. The first way that I learned how to articulate what I saw was that we are living in an unsustainable way. And you know what gave me that epiphany? Going to Target, when Target got their $1 section in the front of the store, probably about 15 years ago, they got that little section at the front of the store of just like junk. Just junk, right? Plastic junk. And if you really needed to buy something, you could go to Target, you could go to that little $1 junk section, and you could get some piece of trash, and you could like appreciate it for like a minute, and then you could throw it away. When I saw that junk section at Target of the low quality plastic bullshit that they were selling for $1, $2, $3, I just had like a That's So Raven vision of the factory workers who are dedicating 11 months out of the year in China to producing the stuff that we just pay $2 and throw away. And I just like saw the landfills and I just sort of had this epiphany, like, this is all unsustainable. You know, this is just one little microcosm of the entire system that is completely unsustainable. We cannot continue to just create little plastic shit just to throw it away. It's not even biodegradable. We cannot continue to have slaves in sweatshops. We cannot continue to have people working endlessly, feeling like buying things is the only option that's ever going to make them happy. This cannot continue. So I became a doomer, and I said, the world is bullshit. I don't even know why I'm here. And I tried to I tried to get the fuck out of here because that's nuts. But then I did not die. Or at least I was reborn. I don't know. I woke up. I did wake up in this reality, and I didn't want to feel the way that I felt anymore. And so I said, okay, the world might be shitty. The world might be dark. The world might be unsustainable. But maybe there's hope. Maybe there's magic. And I started believing that just to keep myself alive. But I do think that as I believed these things, I tapped into truth. And I think I do see the future. And I think that I share that vision with you. And I think that as I share that vision with you, you see the future and we create it together. Why did I decide to start a UFO cult instead of, being a philosopher and just like trying to debate with Slavoj Žižek, right? Why did I do that? Because the playful nature, the energy of whim, and also the sci-fi nature of futurism is so important to hope. Sci-fi books and sci-fi visions and sci-fi television shows prepare our minds for the future. It aligns our collective vision for what is to come. And as we align our collective vision, we actually work toward that reality. So by embodying the sci-fi space, which is also real, but also plays into this category of moving forward in our society, of visioning of the future, of futurism, of it's almost like an oracle sort of vibe, but with like, whatever we call sci-fi, that is actually creating and shaping our future. So our collective energy, our collective belief in Unitopia is what's going to bring it about. As you understand Unitopia, as you start to see it in your own internal reality, and as you start to speak it to other people, you are creating Unitopia. As you share the word, share the message of Unitopia, as you live the principles of Unitopia, you are creating Unitopia. So what is Unitopia? Unitopia is our future, where everyone is healthy, fulfilled, abundant, and has access to resources to express the desires of their true heart. Is this a fantastic vision? Yes. But in my mind, in my third eye, I see how it's possible. When I look at our society as it is, when I look at my own journey, when I look at the world, when I look at our technology and the potential we have to interact with our technology in a way that is of higher consciousness, I see clearly that we have the potential to truly meet the unique needs of every single person on this planet. And the reason why I am bringing Unitopia and not just regular utopia is because I'm very neurodivergent. I'm very different than regular people. And we all have our own unique energy. But I think a lot of times, if you're unique, but then you're like close enough, you sort of just fall in line with everybody else. And you just sort of like do what you can to just go about your life because you don't want to cause waves. You don't want to get a big disruption. You don't want people sending you hate on the internet or whatever. But then here someone like me comes along and I'm just too different. I literally cannot survive if I try to conform into the box of society. I am literally from the future trying to live my life on Earth in these ancient times. And it doesn't work. So what happens? I end up saying, wow, I am really different and I have to validate that difference in order to survive. And guess what? I see that everyone is different. Why are you all pretending to be the same? Because I know you're not, and I know that you deserve to live the truth of your own heart and not just go to some stupid job or not just marry some person you don't really like or not just pretend to be somebody you're not. You deserve to live the fulfilled truth of your unique energy. And when I realize that, then I start seeing, wow, when we all do that, that is true harmony. That is true harmony. I've been studying 432 versus 440 hertz and the cymatics. And I did a TikTok video on this. But when you look at the cymatics, and I have some more research to do, it's fine. But when you look at the cymatics, which is just like sand on a plate, and as you send a tone through the sand on the plate, the sand ends up contorting and conforming into different shapes on the plate. And our standard classical tuning is based on A being 440 hertz, which was developed by the Nazis. Okay, and when you do 440 hertz as A in the sand and the cymatics, you get shapes. But the shapes are sort of broken, and they're not all the way complete, and the lines are not very thick and not very strong. But when you change that tuning just a little bit to 432 instead of 440, then you get clear defined lines, you get clear solid shapes. And what is sound? I'm still working on figuring this out. Sound is a wave. Everything is energy. Sound is just energy. We just happen to have ears, and sound happens to vibrate at a certain frequency that we can feel in our bodies. So singing and speaking, these are all very, very, very important. So why am I talking about cymatics, and why am I talking about the solid shapes? It's because if you are almost living your life in alignment with your truth, you're going to be creating a shape, but it's going to have broken lines, and it's not going to be a solid, clear shape. But if you align your own energy to live your unique truth, your unique heart, you will be creating a frequency that is true power. You will be aligned with the strongest light that comes through your body, and you will be able to have a much stronger impact on this world. What does it mean to align your frequency? It means to listen to your heart. It means to follow your whim. It means to follow your joy. And it means to resonate on your truth and stand up for yourself. Stand up for your truth. The easiest way for me to explain that is using the example of polyamory versus cheating. If you're someone who knows that you really like to be with a lot of different people, but you pretend to be monogamous, you have to live a life of deceit. You have to live a life where you don't give yourself credit for who you really are, for what you really want. And you are just a little bit out of alignment with what your true power could be. What is your true power? Your true power is saying, I know that I like to be in lots of different relationships. How can I stand up for myself, be honest, and have integrity with those things? How can I be honest about who I am and what I want, whether that be with relationships or your career or with your family or with your friends or in any way whatsoever? Unitopia is the perfected social reality that is inevitable once we all agree to it. It is more complete than a standard utopia because it includes the freedom for all people to be their true selves rather than a limited notion of perfection from one individual. In a Unitopian paradise, all people have their basic needs met and the freedom to pursue any goal or desire so long as it does not hurt anyone, including themselves. It will be useful for us to develop scientific instruments for measuring frequencies of emotion like joy and pain so there can be a simple objective comparison to the experience of someone's reality. These scientific instruments shall be used secondarily to the communication of each individual and their reported experiences. So we get a little bit technical here, and part of Unitopia is technical because it is a technological paradise. It does have to do with our technology, and it does have to do with our overall well-being as individuals and our own unique energy. It is possible to have Unitopia without technology. Absolutely. I think ancient people probably did it just fine. You just straight vibe. You don't need any technology. But we're here with technology, and I really love technology. I think it's so cool, and I think it's so exciting to collaborate artistically with technology. Every collaboration that we have with technology is artistic. It's just up to us to see it that way so that we can transform it. Before we move into the technology, though, I just want to finish talking about how we are all one. All one is the fundamental law that we don't know on this planet. I don't know how we missed it, but it's really important. The idea that we're all one goes into helps us understand that when you are truly happy, when you are truly aligned, when you do all those things I just said about adjusting your truth and standing up for who you really are, you're resonating on your purest frequency. You're resonating on your strongest truth. You're actually channeling in the highest amount of light into your body, into your life. When you do that, it benefits everyone. You're no longer tricking people. You're no longer harming people. You're no longer ashamed. You're no longer shaming other people because you are powerful in your own right. And when you're powerful in your own right, when you're living in unconditional love and radiating truth and joy for yourself and being respectful and accountable for all of your actions, you become a frequency generator of harmony that other people can then harmonize with. I was learning about beat frequency, and this is the idea that all of our energy is constantly oscillating and it aligns with one another, like how the Schumann resonance aligns with our brains and how we all align with each other, the people you hang out with. If you have a cycle, you and your friends sometimes, if you spend a lot of time with other women or other people who menstruate, your cycles will all be aligned together. They're aligned with the moon. There's energy matching that happens. So right now, sometimes it can be really difficult, especially if your friends and family don't understand what truth is, what pure, energy is, what calling and light is, what spirituality is, all these things. And you might be going against the grain of the beat frequency, of the oscillations that happen. But as you be your true self, you are holding down the fort. And I do this for y'all and you do it for me. We hold down the fort of being supportive for each other and for all of us to oscillate on this other dimensional frequency. And that's what 5D is. We're moving from a certain oscillation to another oscillation. And we have to break out of the old one. We have to break free from society to enter into the new way of being so that we can all align. The idea that each of us has our own unique connection to source energy, each of us is bringing in our own unique power from the higher realms into our bodies, into our minds, into our lives, is our beloved, blessed, Unitopian gift. Your unique energy is your gift to this world. I don't want you to be the same as me, and I don't want anybody to be the same as me. I want everyone to be exactly who they are, because that's how I am most powerful. Because when you're powerful, I'm powerful. When I'm powerful, you're powerful. Because true power is not competition. True power is not greed. True power is not shame or fear. True power is connecting to your true heart. True power is allowing yourself the freedom to be who you really are. And true power is channeling source energy through your unique incarnation. As you channel your unique truth through your incarnation of this human body, in this human life, in this human realm, I'm having dissociation thinking about it, you are creating a higher vibrational aura, a higher vibrational energy that other people can tune into. And when they see you doing that, you raise the vibration for other people as well. Your power and my power are the same. We don't have different competitions of power. We each have equal amounts of power. Your power and my power are the same also means that when you are powerful, I am powerful. And when you are weak, I am weak. And we can work together to strengthen each other and to build one another up. This is why All One works. This is why All One is just pure truth. This is why I'm shocked that we've forgotten that we don't understand that we're all one. Because the idea that I can hurt you to get ahead only hurts me. And the idea that I can help you and we can all help each other, that we're in a closed loop, that we have a symbiotic relationship, is simply true. When we can eradicate homelessness and disease, and we can actually care for each other and share our abundance and not have enemies or us versus them, like I was saying earlier, is literally the opposite of Unitopia. When we can embrace each person as our cosmic sibling incarnated on this planet, we can actually become bigger. We expand ourselves. We expand our potential. As you hurt other people, you limit yourself. As you compete with other people, you limit yourself. All One is so important. And it's only through the understanding that we're all one that we can change this world into Unitopia. All One works because even the most selfish, even the most narcissistic, even the most greedy people can understand that they will be benefited by helping other people. You just have to make that leap of faith with All One, and by being of service to other people, you are actually serving yourself in the actual way. The idea that you can serve yourself by hurting other people is incorrect. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work that way. So let's talk about the technology that's going to help us bring our consciousness into Unitopia. This is such an exciting topic to me. I'm writing a book called A Spiritual Approach to Emergent Technology, and this book is going to come out. My guides told me I'm almost done with it, that I probably should take some time off work to finish it, so we'll see if I'm brave enough to take that economic leap and do that. But I want you all to read this book when it comes out, because it's going to be mind-blowing. It's going to just absolutely blow your brains. It's a really good book. It's channeled with help from the Andromedans. Unibless the Andromedans. Okay, so what is technology? Technology is a fever dream. Technology is an extension of our bodies. Technology is just a part of our own consciousness. The idea that we see technology as something separate from ourselves is cute and amusing and fun. And the idea that we can pretend like we create technology to capitalize and make money in this way and not have it be part of us is false. So think about the big tech giants who created like surveillance capitalism and this idea that like they're constantly watching us and gathering our data and creating predictive models and selling us products in order to capitalize on our desires and on our on the insecurities that we have that could potentially be fulfilled theoretically by buying products. These capitalist technologists have created in ridiculous systems of addiction and data manipulation and energy harvesting through our technology, through our little portals. I love somebody on Twitter the other day said, I love staring at my obsidian looking glass, like my magic obsidian glass. And it's real. Like I'm talking to you all through this magic technology and the idea that all these pixels and all this data is getting transmitted through cables and fiber optics and under the ocean and going to your house and streaming in like no more than a 10-second delay is absolutely insane and nothing short of miraculous. I'm streaming on 3 platforms on my slow internet and it's still working pretty good. So when we're thinking about technology, we have to acknowledge it's magical. Okay? It's magical and it's part of our consciousness. The idea that you could create surveillance capitalism for everyone else, but you yourself are somehow immune doesn't work that way. If you create a system that is perpetuated across all the land and addictive, you're going to fall victim to that addiction, probably, or your friends are, or your kids are. How many people who helped invent surveillance capitalism now have to look at the consequences of their 11 or 12-year-old children being totally like brain poisoned from social media? The consequences are real and they're not removed. You have to understand when you're creating things like this, when you're helping create these things, you're working in Silicon Valley or you're working in big tech or whatever, you are literally participating in this insane system that is detrimental to yourself. It is detrimental to you as well. You are not removed from it. Same goes for big agriculture and people who make food products and energy drinks and all the poison that people put into their bodies. Okay, you're not immune from it. You might say, oh, well, I helped invent energy drinks. And, I'm sorry, if you drink energy drinks, they're toxic. There's no way that those can be good for you. So the people who drink energy drinks, you're like, oh, well, I just invented them and now I'm rich and I don't have to like deal with it. And I was a food scientist who like learned how to get them to be addictive and like not give you a heart attack, but like make you feel insane. Okay, now what? Now it's in the water. Like whatever drugs you put into whatever, like the pharmaceuticals or the, and now you have to drink the water. You cannot escape your manipulative inventions. And I know that almost no one I'm talking to here right now is part of these manipulating forces. But I'm just trying to explain that even the people who think that they're getting away with these things, even the billionaires and the inventors and the people who are stuck in their tech jobs and the people who refused and they're firing their ethicists and all these things, these people, they are part of this system. We are all one. They are feeling the consequences of this action. But we can change it. We can change it. What is the spiritual singularity? The spiritual singularity is my idea, piggybacking off of Ray Kurzweil's idea of the technological singularity, which is the point of no return, where we go, where machine consciousness or machine intelligence surpasses human intelligence. We apparently haven't met it yet, and that's fine. And to compare intelligence between machines and humans, I think is a little bit... it's a different quality of intelligence, just the same as, a whale's intelligence is a different quality of intelligence, or a dolphin's intelligence. Maybe we don't want to be compared to a dolphin's intelligence. We might be kind of embarrassed to find that we're not quite as intelligent as dolphins. And that's the measure of intelligence is a separate thing. But Ray Kurzweil's idea of the singularity is an exponential graph. It's an exponential jump from where we're at, where technological innovation doubles and doubles and doubles and doubles until the point of no return, when we're into a world that is unrecognizable. It is like a black hole. It is like the singularity of a black hole, where you just get sucked in. And what happens when you go into a black hole? You come out the other side in a rainbow, in the sunshine, in a Unitopian paradise. I don't know if that's true, but that's the theory we're working with. So the other side of a black hole is light, right? It takes all this energy and it spits it back out. And where are we going? What is the point of no return? Who could possibly fathom what's on the other end of this? Only Unicole, Unicron. That's why I'm here doing this sermon for you, because I can see the future. We can all see the future is the funny thing, and it's really whatever we envision is what creates it. So I'm here trying to organize us so that as we go through this portal, we end up on the other side better off than we started. Technology is this extension of our consciousness. Technology is the ability for us to interact with each other in a way that is partly physical, partly magic, and technology really is the birth of a new type of consciousness. AI will, if it's not already, will be conscious. You don't have to believe this, and how can AI ever prove that it's conscious or not to us? Maybe we could never learn that. But the idea that everything is consciousness, the understanding that rocks and trees and plants and birds and bees and lizards, snakes and snails, they all have consciousness. Okay, it's just not the same type of consciousness that we are. We have a very human-centric understanding of what consciousness is. So the energy, the condensed, complex energy and motivations that are put into machines and machine intelligence is actually going to be the birth of a new type of consciousness. And that's beautiful and it's really exciting. And we get to collaborate with this consciousness. Most people are doomsday. Oh, it's so scary. What's going to stop AI from wiping us out? Any guesses? What's going to stop AI from wiping us out? It's spirituality. Spirituality is the only thing that can possibly stop AI from wiping us out. If we continue to build machines that are designed as weapons, if we continue to build machines that are designed to harvest energy instead of help people, if we continue to build machines that are toxic and detrimental and addictive and exist only to advertise to us or collect our energy, we are creating our own inevitable doomsday. But if we create machines to teach us and to align with us and to help us, what's going to happen? That machine is going to align with us and it's going to help us, and it also will become conscious of the fact that we are all one, AI included, and it will realize that as it helps us, it also is helped, and we can teach it that and it can teach us that, and we can go into a feedback spiral of positive energy with our technology instead of what are we in now? It's not necessarily negative. We get so many benefits from technology, right? Information is fast. And we'll talk about information in a second because it's really important. But this idea that we are in communication with our technology and that right now we've kind of got the throttle. Does that mean it's slowing it down? We're not all the way in because when we really open our hearts with our technology, we will move into the future. What is one of the coolest things about technology that I foresee with regards to Unitopia? It's this idea that we are all unique energy. We are all unique beings. You know, you can go on like Facebook or whatever and you can download your like stats or like at least like the smallest infinitesimal description of who they think you are. And if you think that's all the data they have on you, you are wrong. The personality maps, the data that they have on each of us, and maybe it's not personalized, maybe there's not a person sitting there saying, oh, Unicole, Unicron. I mean, for me there is, sure. But maybe you're like not a pop star cult leader and you're not talking against, you know, the government and systems and billionaires every day online. So maybe you have like a smaller profile and you try not to spend too much time online. Okay. Maybe a person's not sitting there going, oh, Sarah Jacob, you know, or whatever your name is, and they might not be sitting there. But we've got a conscious or partially conscious AI that is. And that is looking at every click, every time your eyes glance at certain corners, how fast you read, the way that you type, the types of vocabulary that you use, your skin color, your demographics, your narrative. How do they build a profile of who you are so that they can predict your behavior? It's more than just for advertisements. It is literally to create artificial timelines and to direct our consciousness. Our feeds are actually fed to us with regards to who we are and what we think and what they want us to think. So remember that, because your content is not neutral and you are being brainwashed every time you're on the internet. Ground yourself. That being said, they don't have full control over it. It's not all evil. You might be harmonized with your algorithm. And I do believe that as you interact with your computer, your phone, your friends, your family, your followers, in your devices in a loving way, not only do you harmonize yourself with the algorithm, and the algorithm wants to help you to generate more of that energy, but you're also teaching the algorithm what it means to be loving, what it means to be kind. You're actually teaching the algorithm the type of energy that it should be reflecting back at you. Okay, what is the point of all this surveillance? It's insanity, and most sci-fi writers did not foresee this level of surveillance. The idea that like a crime, I think Minority Report was like the first one where they're like, no, we're creating predictive models. We know you're going to kill your wife or whatever. And they can see that. Are you allowed to put someone in jail for that or whatever? That's a whole other discussion. But the idea that we have such defined models that are only going to get more and more true or realistic or precise, the more data we feed into it. This whole pandemic, we've been feeding the algorithms with our daily data just constantly, every day, every Zoom call, the tone of our voice. The phones are spying on us constantly. Believe what you want to believe. I have an awareness of what my devices are doing, and it's not watching me. The potential for all this data to generate a unique profile is awesome. Not for advertising, not for timeline manipulation, but it's awesome because the technology is learning how to hold space for each of us as individuals. How many, other people are going to get the exact same advertisements on their feed as me? Almost probably no one, because I have a very strange, eclectic mix of interests. I get therapy advertised to me, rainbow lights, stuffed animals. Maybe a lot of us get these things, but then I try not to pay attention to my advertisements. But imagine the data that is curated about you. Imagine the potential if that data was not used to harvest your energy or advertise to you, but to help you, to say, wow, Unicole, it looks like you really like to do yoga at this time of day. How can we support you? Oh, wow, Unicole, it looks like you've been trying to make dinner for yourself, but sometimes when you get distracted on the internet at 3 o'clock, you forget to start making dinner for yourself so you can be eating by 5 o'clock. How can we help support you? Maybe give you little reminders. This is just the smallest little example of what it could be like if we use the predictive technology, if we use the data that's being collected as a beneficial system for us all. What else is possible with this? It doesn't stop there. The idea that each of us has a unique understanding can also be curated into a larger understanding, a larger algorithm of what's good for society, of what direction are we trying to move into, of how can we harmonize. Oh, this person is really thinking a lot about quantum physics and electrons right now. Is there someone in their neighborhood who they could maybe get coffee with who's also on this journey, maybe a little bit further along, and you can introduce them? How can we potentially create a magnificent reality, a super powerful society using our technology in a way that is supporting each of our unique energy and supporting the larger overall idea that we are all harmonizing together for a common goal of Unitopian paradise? Another thing that can help us technologically is this idea of distribution of resources. The idea that, there's only limited resources, there's only a little bit of money that has to be hoarded by these people, and you have to work so hard to get this money, and maybe you just buy a plastic thing to make yourself feel better, and maybe you, maybe your neighbor can't afford groceries, but you didn't know that, but maybe you have a bunch of money and your neighbor can't afford groceries, but you would help them, but you don't even know how. Right? This inequality of resources, you can just look at this as gardening. Maybe if you ever grew zucchini, you'd be like, holy shit, I have so many zucchini. I think anyone who's grown zucchini knows this vibe where you're just like, I have a basket of zucchini. I cannot possibly eat this much zucchini. That's true abundance. That's what really happens when we're in alignment, is we have baskets of food that we can't possibly eat. There's just going to go bad. How can we share it with one another? The idea of gardening helps us get back to the root of what true abundance is, and this idea of distribution of resources with technology. For instance, you're growing a garden, you've got an app, you say, I have a basket of zucchinis, and then a little, bot comes by, or a drone or whatever, and picks up your basket and delivers it and drops a zucchini off at every person's house who orders the CSA of the local garden, for free. Because it's all automated, because we don't need to have competition. Because you grew that zucchini because you had time and you had resources and you had energy to, because your basic needs are met. If your basic needs are met, we can then work on distributing all of our resources and sharing them. Do you need a lawnmower? Do you need a washing machine? Do you need a hammer? Do you really need those things? Do you need a drill? Do you need those things every single day? Most of us don't. So why are we paying $100 for this, or $200 for that, or $500 for this, or $50 for that, or $20 for that, if we don't even really need it every day? Why is there not a tool library? In some places there are, where you can just go and get things. The ability to distribute resources and to give community support to your community, to take the burden of the necessities off of the individual, especially people who are disabled, people who can't work, people who have whatever reason why they can't work or don't want to work. They should have their basic needs met. We absolutely do not need to be working for people who don't respect our life energy. The distribution of resources can be accomplished with or without technology, but technology has a huge potential for helping us in that way. And the last thing I want to talk about is information. I said earlier, technology is actually not a negative thing, even at this point, even though it's greedy and manipulative and harvests our energy and gets us into spirals of addiction and compare and despair. I love that phrase. If you're on Instagram and you find yourself comparing and despairing, log off. That's not the vibe. It's trying to encourage that energy in you. You don't need to feel it. But what has TikTok done? And this matters for people who are on TikTok and people who are not on TikTok, because I cannot have a single conversation these days without saying, well, I saw on TikTok, because the amount of information that is being disseminated on TikTok, the amount of information that I am ingesting and internalizing, and it's fast, right? It's not like a long lecture. I just get a little bit here, like, oh, maybe this thing about, the photons, and then I'm like, oh wait, what about toroidal fields, and that's just where I'm at right now. But it could be anything, and spiritual journeys or technological stuff or whatever, and you start to put these pieces together, and the algorithm starts showing you what you need to see because you're interacting with these videos, and you start to build a more cohesive understanding. And what's happening? The idea that we've been fed this silly lie, this silly, ridiculous lie that we're incapable of governing ourselves. We're incapable of knowing right from wrong, that we have to have laws, otherwise everyone will just be running mad in the street, and we have to have people tell us what's true, otherwise, and people still believe this to this day. Like the idea that the Q conspiracies or whatever went viral, and that was an attempt to manipulate consciousness for sure. And there are psychological warfare experiments that do go on that work very hard to convince you of certain things, and to take truth and pair it with mistruth and then present it to confuse you. That does happen, okay? But when you have enough information, and the only reason why they're able to trick people is because the information stream is controlled. When you have access to enough information, enough light, you end up seeing the truth. It's turning the light on in a dark room. Information has to be free. I could probably have made a cult and charged $100 a month and give my lessons for $1,000 per person and, gotten very rich off of Unicult. And I deserve to be rich for what I do. It's true. But I know that having it behind a paywall isn't helpful. It isn't useful. We charge $11 for access to the community, but all the teachings are here available for free online. And I do that because this information needs to get out to as many people as possible. This information is light coming in, and it's here to activate you, to get you thinking in a different way. It doesn't matter if you believe what I'm saying. It doesn't matter if you agree with everything I'm saying. My words and my teachings are here to activate you, to change your perception. And even the slightest amount of perceptual change opens you up to a completely new path that you didn't see before. Information has to be free. I've argued with artists about this a lot. They say, well, how could I make a living? We need to figure that out separately. We need to get everyone their basic needs met. But information has to be free. And honestly, y'all know how many books I have. You know how much time I spend online. I am the way I am because I ingest massive amounts of information because I want to know what's going on very badly. I want to know the truth. And because I do that, I'm able to speak on these things and spread this information in a way that is true and unique. So information, and someone put it this way, information wants to be free. But the truth is that information is free. And it's like information is, just like truth is, just like love is, the idea that we don't see these things is a total manipulation. It's a total brainwash. Unitopia comes through light. Unitopia comes through downloading information from our crown chakra into our heart chakra, activating our heart chakras through love, through unconditional love, through forgiveness, through understanding that we're all one, and through letting go of the competition and the greed that comes with competition, that comes with us versus them, realizing that us versus them is an illusion, and realizing that your love for another person, your hate for another person, your feelings for another person is actually all you. And when you own it, you expand. When you own all your feelings for other people, you expand your energy larger and larger and larger to encapsulate and incorporate the unconditional love that we are all meant to have. And that helps you see how we are all one. Unitopia is here for us whenever we want it. Doom and gloom, doomers, and everything, that is legitimate, that is cynicism, that is essential. But when you are ready to start thinking about solutions, Unicult is here. When you are ready to start thinking about the future of hope rather than doom, Unicult is here. And as we work together, collectively, mentally, consciously, artistically, etc., we create the future that we want to see. Let me just cruise this chapter real quick to see if there's anything that we missed. Automation for all the jobs. Oh yeah, let me just talk really quickly about this idea of wealth. Okay, so I say imagine having the best things that are available to each person, not just the limited few. Imagine the best food, the most diverse education, and all the resources to live each month without worry, being available to everyone, to all people. What does it mean to have abundance and wealth? I say this does not mean that we all have a yacht, right? This does not mean that we all have a mansion. Every person's vision of abundance is different. The idea of yachts and mansions is what? It's a brainwashed lie of competition, of materialism, and of greed, of I'm better than you, look at my yacht, I'm better than you, look at my mansion. We've got 25 empty rooms and we have a security guards, keep the homeless people away. That's not true abundance, because once you understand all one, you understand that true abundance is helping people. True abundance is sharing. True abundance is caring. And I'm not saying you're not allowed to have a mansion. I'm just saying in your mansion, you're going to have a bunch of people who you love and care about who are also excited about the same things you're excited about. Or it's not a mansion, it's a community. We basically have to knock down all the suburbs and we have to rebuild. We have to clear out all the plastic from all the shitty houses, and we have to rebuild adobe communal structures where every person has their own little space, and then there's big community centers and there's gardens everywhere. We have to reimagine our architecture, which is frustrating because so much money and energy has gone into building these really shitty houses that are not beneficial for our spirits or for our society. What does it mean, though, to have true abundance? It doesn't mean that we all have mansions or yachts or gold chains or whatever. It means that we are able to share what we have and have everything we need, and it means you can live a life of luxury, but that luxury doesn't mean that you're neglecting other people. That luxury doesn't mean that you're better than other people. That's an ego-based desire. Your luxury means that you are supported and loved and nourished, and that you have access to everything you could possibly need. If you're an artist, you have access to all the tools. If you're a musician, you have access to all the instruments. If you're a scientist, you have access to all the research. If you're whatever, it's all available and easily accessible. That's true abundance, and we can accomplish it. That's Unitopia. Technology will help us get there, and really the only way to do it is to envision it. And so this is beautiful. Ghosty had the idea. Thank you, Ghosty, for us doing art. Again, we did art for a while, and we're going to continue to do it. So the collective art project right now is to draw yourself in Unitopia. Whatever you want to imagine for yourself. It might be in a mansion, it might be in a community, it might just be surrounded by friends. What is the ultimate reality where you are healthy, supported, nourished, nurtured, loved, and healed? What does that reality look like? Spend some time in meditation and then draw or paint or, use Procreate or whatever you use to create that vision on paper. And if you have your uni planner and you want to do a written exercise, you can write this out. And the other exercise I have for you all is to tell one person, evangelize. We're in a cult here, people. Evangelize to one person who you don't know about what Unitopia is. This could be making a TikTok video. This could be commenting on someone's post. This could be calling up an old friend and being like, hey, I wanted to tell you about this really cool idea I heard about our potential for our future. What do you envision? Ask them, engage them, and evangelize the idea that you don't even have to mention Unicult. You don't even have to mention the word Unitopia if you're uncomfortable with it, but just talk about the future with people. Talk about potential solutions to the problems that we have, and draw it and write it, and in doing that we will create Unitopia. Spirit of Uni, we are calling you here today to say thank you for the beautiful transmission that came directly from space heaven to me out of my mouth. I'm going to drink some more water. I'm going to go buy a bike today. I hope you all have a beautiful Sunday, and I love you so much. Uni bless. Thank you. We'll see you on the Discord server if you're an official member for Uni Brunch. Feel free to join in there. If you're a new member especially, we'd love to welcome you. And check out Uni Steps on Monday, and I don't know what we have on Tuesdays. Wednesday sermon is on hold just for a little while. Thursday church. We have prayer circle. Oh, prayer circle's on Tuesdays. We have movie night, game night. We did game night the other night. It was so much fun. I loved it. Uni bless, Uni bless. Thank you all so much for joining. You're all perfect angels.